So let's talk about why marriage advice from your friends and your family and online forums is often only partly right. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Athol, and this is The Dateable Marriage. So, continuing on our Partly Right series, why is it that marriage advice and relationship advice from your friends, your family, online forums, co-workers, and even sometimes books that have been produced, why is that only partly right? And the answer to that is it's pretty simple. Most people who are not fully educated in the field of relationship giving tend to give advice that was based on their own particular problem in their own relationship. And in a sense, usually they've had one or two problems with, one or two of the links in the chain of seduction. And when they figured that out, they figured out their issue was they weren't fit enough. They figured out they weren't doing initiations. They figured out they needed to work on comfort. When they figure it out, that becomes their sort of magical golden nugget of advice, and then they run around giving that advice. So in that sense, if that area of the chain of seduction is your problem, the advice they give is fantastic, and it works, and it's perfectly on point. And in fact, they can often give advice that is very, very insightful and finely tuned and nuanced in that one area of the chain of seduction, or two areas, or whatever it is. And they can be tremendously helpful and tremendously effective. And that is fantastic, super. But the problem is they often take for granted, and to the point of blindness sometimes, the other areas in the chain of seduction where they were doing well, where things just came naturally to them, and they didn't need to think about doing anything better because they were always doing it great. Their partner was never complaining about it because they just did it so well. And I can look back to my first book in particular, and I can see that as a sort of a problem. For myself, I've always been just amazingly good at being sensitive and providing relationship comfort. I've always been able to help with the kids, help around the house. I've always been pleasant and agreeable and thoughtful and affectionate, and all that stuff was just great. So when I wrote the first book, it was pretty much on, okay, you need to focus on, the physicality and the attraction stuff. Yeah, not necessarily because I was falling down tremendously in that area, but because it was hitting me as such a truly important insight. And it's like, well, here's my magical golden nugget. Let me go tell the world. So that's why most of my first book, it's about attraction, and it just assumes and takes for granted that everybody reading it is also fairly pleasant, also fairly affectionate, and is just doing amazing on the comfort front. And it was only, over the following years that I was discovering people who were reading that who were doing just terribly in the comfort front and didn't really think they needed to do anything based on the advice in the book that I wrote. They just doubled down on trying to do more attraction, doubling down on more initiations, doubling down on doing the fitness stuff. So that's, in a sense, you have to accept that most people giving advice are giving some form of cookie cutter advice. And it's the old problem of when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. This is my solution, therefore this is your problem. Now go apply my solution and everything will be wonderful. If your problem was their problem, it is. If your problem is not quite, it is not so great. And I'm now far more fully aware that advice given is a cookie cutter of sorts. I can look at even the chain of seduction model, which obviously I am pushing and I think is wonderful and is helpful. Even that is a form of cookie cutter advice. I'm throwing out this model hoping it fits your problem. The main difference being is that I am conscious that I am giving some form of cookie cutter advice, and I'm trying my darndest to make sure I am giving a comprehensive cookie cutter that is going to look to see what you're doing really well and you don't need to really concentrate on too much, and where are the missing pieces of the puzzle so that you can concentrate on them and get you the solutions and the progress in the relationship that you want. So that's about it for today. If I don't get this up or do another video tomorrow, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I will talk to you soon.